Good evening, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to another exciting Blue Moon waxing phase race between Heart and Softnum. My name's Vitasia. I'm joined tonight on the mic by the one, the only, the myth, the man, the legend, Solaris. How are we doing today, Solaris?
Hi, I'm great. Ooh, I'm upgraded to legend status now? That's neat.
Yep, you have orange drops now, so congratulations.
Sweet. Hi, yeah, I'm doing great. I am excited, very excited to watch this matchup between Softnum and Heart. Heart, having been a long-standing community member, avid player of the Pink Puff League, and Softnum, having been around, I believe, since ZZ 4 times. Know he's done some commentary and kind of getting his feet wet here. I know he's done some running, but I believe this might be his first tournament run. I'll get to ask him that at the very end, though. But yeah, I'm just super excited to watch this Blue Moon race, Blue Moon and Red Moon, this tournament in general. I just think it's been super fun so far.
Absolutely. For those of us who are in the Blue Moon side of the bracket, it's, both, everything is a total boss hunt at this point in time, but which changes up the dynamic quite a bit. I think we were talking a little bit before the race and how this kind of boss hunt dynamic for a randomizer tournament is the freshest sort of format that we've seen since we brought in quests in order to get the crystal. It's really a refreshing sort of change of pace, and you have to change the way you pace your way and run your way through this particular seed and flag set because it's just so different from anything that we've done before.
Yeah, absolutely. Boss hunts, we've done some boss hunts a little bit before, but we've never featured like just all boss hunts. And the main thing about bosses is that they don't really care about where they are, doesn't really care about key item logic, which ends up just changing how you end up wanting to make decisions on routing. And then also the bosses themselves are very relevant. We have always Golbez and the Full Bull Gauntlet in this mix, but sometimes we get on Blue Moon here, we've got Valvalis to think about. We've got a couple of freebies in the guards and King Queen Ublin. We know we have a Mylan to hunt and Paledin and Odin. Like all of them have something you want to bring, like a Thunderclaw or coffins or whatnot, the ability to jump. So yeah, it puts a lot on your mind kind of at the start of these races, I feel.
Absolutely. And let's not discount the characters because we limit the character checks to only what the free character checks are. So there's only 7 available characters total in the race. And we have a starting Sid, which can be a blessing or a curse depending on how the rest of the party setup ends up going. It's really a unique overall, just a very different seed that we've been enjoying quite a bit. Watching on the back end, I've been enjoying racing as well and trying to practice so that I don't get embarrassed too quickly.
Yeah, the fun thing about these flags too is that you kind of never know who's going to come out on top because the boss hunts sometimes become pretty tricky. But yeah, out of the start of the gate here, we're joined by Edge, a very strong starting character, and we've got Noctimama and Bygans, so we know that's not a boss we're hunting.
No, but we do have an early Earth Crystal.
Yeah.
That's very interesting because one of the things here is you have some very high quality loot that's available, and having that Troya treasury chest, I've seen some runners be able to just take the Troya treasury, and that's their looting for the whole scene. You're done.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of bring up this interesting, conversation about where do you like to start your open loot routing, because it could be very interesting. Never mind. When you start with an Earth Crystal, first of all, there's a free key item that is on in the Blue Moon flag, so you want to get to that bedward sooner than later, but yeah, having that Earth Crystal just gets you access to 18 powerful treasures in the T-Wildish setting, and I mean, they could be anything from functional J items to a crystal sword. And Bedward just says, here, have some power on a shirt.
Have a power shirt with a Buddy Edge. Meanwhile, if you want any more power, Softnum is showing us the characters over in Mysidia, and it's everyone's 2 favorite best buddies who burned that town down, or at least Cecil rated it, Cecil and Kane. So Cecil is in particular the source of a lot of power because crystal swords are available and all of the holy swords are available relatively easily. I saw Masamune there in the treasury. Oh, there's a crystal sword.
There it is. We did it.
That's it.
Masamune and crystal sword in that treasury at the 1 minute 50-second mark. We are off to the zoom races, ladies and gentlemen.
If done properly, this could be a very, very fast seed. And with the power that you have from Masamune Edge to carry you, that's capable of carrying you through Mount Ordeals by yourself until you get Crystal Sword Cecil online. So that's this is going to go very, very quickly here.
Oh yeah, and I mean crystal rings. I see a protect ring there for Heart. Like his party is just kitted to the nines at the moment. And there's a Tella over here on Softnum's side of the Watery Pass. Tella's great utility. Great to have him as an anchor. If a white mage happens to not be in the seed, Tella makes a pretty convincing white mage alternate. Softnum going to do a little bit of looting here in Watery Pass. Not too mad about picking up a couple of things. There's a longsword that's useful for Edge as well. We do start Sineki, so he'll be able to wear 2 weapons now. But yeah, he'll be super happy with. Oh, and the Avenger. Avenger in the back of the waterfall there.
I mean, okay, now we have something for Kane as well. If you really need something, but oh my God, just do the Troya Treasury. It's so good right at the moment. Everything's going to be moving so very, very fast in this once we get everybody online at this point. That Tella and Cecil do require us to make a trip up Mount Ordeals, which, to be frank, is a pretty smart move to do anyway. It's 3 boss checks, and when you only have 35 total boss locations, having almost 10% of your total boss checks in one location, yeah, just do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It gets that Tella online. Yeah, it's 3 bosses like you said. But yeah, it made sense also that Softnum was looting that location because, and this is where I was gonna say, bring up interesting looting choices, because you have to come to these places to pick up characters here and Dampsian particularly that have some loot. So it's sort of like you might as well pick up stuff along the way. And yeah, that Avenger is just, it's incredible. Kane can wear it for now, and then later on, there's the fun glitch, the Avenger glitch, where you'll be able to turn a crystal sword into an automatic berserk with that Avenger.
Yeah, it can get pretty amazing, some of the things that you can do with that Avenger sword. Softnum also doing some boss checks, and what that looked like a Val.
That was Val Valis, yes. We're resetting out. Softnum might be saying, okay, I see that Val is here. I could fight this now and take like a minute, or I could come back when Crystal Sword Cecil is online and just deal with that then. So I think we're going to put that off for a moment.
All right, so here's a Rydia. We still don't have a true white mage, but Rydia, when you find Asura, can do in a pinch.
2/3 of the time works every time.
Hey, Asura Rydia has done plenty of work for me in races that I promise I did not get in last place for. Okay.
Look, she's done tons of work for me too, and then she's also rolled Greyface for 4 in a row at Zemus. It's fun. But it's also Ashura is honestly really strong. Okay, yeah, so Softnum decides, all right, I am ready to take on this Val. Heart also seeing this Val says, yeah, I can take this on. Gonna be a little tricky. Val gets a lot of evasion early on. Maybe not at this spot though, actually, because Edge with that Masamune hitting pretty hard.
Worth noting, I don't know if Softnum's Cane is back row glitched properly. I'm swinging for less than I would expect.
Yeah, he might not be. When the back row glitch, well, the back row glitch is on, but the only weapon that can back row Cane is a Dwarf Axe, and I don't think we've seen it. So you did take basically a 50% accuracy penalty. So we'll see some damage variance there. But yeah, Looks like Val might not actually have any evasion multipliers at this location, because she took, I think, what would be pretty typical damage for this level. It goes down pretty quickly.
Okay, so our party possibilities that we know of right now are Sid, Edge, Kane, Cecil, Tella, and Rydia. You know, what are you hoping to find? Because there's one more character spot up on Mount Ordeals. What do you hope to find, and what character would you say, or what would your party build out be at that point?
I think the only really relevant character is a white mage, and I suspect Heart and Softnum would be very happy to see a white mage, Porm or Rosa, because you know, just to get that safety of a dedicated white mage. A Palom would be okay, but we've got so much power in our characters out of Cecil and Edge already that the extra characters are sort of ancillary at this point. Like, I'm not sure who I could think of I'd be super happy to see besides a white mage.
There is an Odin, by the way, up on Mount Hobbs, just kind of sitting hanging out for us. We should have the power to deal with this relatively easily with that particular Masa weapon.
Yeah, we've got the strength here, and honestly, Odin early game on flag sets that start you with Thor Rages, you could also throw those. Actually deal pretty good damage thanks to the lightning weakness. But yeah, a couple swings. Heart takes Odin down very quickly, and that's boss objective number 2 for him.
And Heart even has the good news that he has the Crystal Sword, but hasn't found the good news of that Cecil yet, so eventually we'll get there. Promise, we will be getting there. There's that Asura. There's that white mage safety net sitting in Fabul that Softnum found.
Yeah, I honestly like what Heart chose to do here, which is knowing that he's got an edge with a good amount of power at the moment, isn't afraid to take a couple of checks along the way. Heart's heading to Mysidia now to pick up these characters, but with an edge, you can start doing checks pretty early if you've got the strength. Or really any character like Edge or Sid. You don't need a full complement, you know, don't need a full party to kind of start doing that.
And Ogo Pogo is our boss for the Fabul defense check. Kane's still with that Avenger, still doing quite a bit of damage. The rest of the party is taking swings. At this point, yeah, just let your Kane do horrible things at this point.
Knowing that this flag set, the hook is guaranteed, are you a fan of fading Fabul on this flag set, or do you like always checking it? What's your thought there?
I like fading it. I'm one of those guys that my routing philosophy personally is only check what you absolutely have to. I even fade Antlion until I know I either have access to the exit spell. So, but
speaking
early
of access,
Darkness Crystal, yeah, this changes a lot because we do have that Tella, and with all the other power that we have, it's really easy to get Cecil to level 1 as a paladin and say, hey, the rest of my party is level 15 or so, let's slingshot you with the D-Machine grind.
Yeah, it's always a little funny to me in my mind to think about, okay, and there's confirmed no mage in the seed. Heart is at Ordeals, picks up a Yang, says, no thanks. Makes sense to me. Yang is great, but with all the high power that we already have, Yang's utility kind of wavers. But anyways, yeah, that Darkness Crystal, like, it's always a little funny to me to, like, do a D-Machine when you've got a Crystal Sword and a Masamune, like, you've got so much power, why? But that Slingshot on a level 1 Cecil means you can do a very short D-Machine and get, you know, an endgame Cecil online. Like, it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's something that, you know, maybe just a couple ether ones. You don't need a whole host, and you don't have to spend a ton of time. It's the shortest D-Machine grind that I've ever done, and you just do it and call it good, and then you're set for the entire game.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are other characters you can slingshot too. You can slingshot that Rydia and get nuke, and just, you know, have all sorts of silly power. You could slingshot Yang instead and have an incredible third Zerker. Or I guess Yang, but then it would be fourth Zerker, huh? Yeah, anyways, there's a lot of choices there. But meanwhile, we're going to see a Baigen at the Ordeals 1 spot here.
I don't think this is going to be terribly difficult now for everyone. It's you have already some high power in Edge, and then your Kane is zerking as well, so this is going to go fairly quickly.
Yeah, honestly, Ordeals 1 is a very low power spot as far as stats go. It's just magic, and physical attacks very low at the spot. So seeing that Ogopogo early at for full defense and seeing Baigen here at Ordeals 1, our runners must be, quite relieved to see some of these root bosses out of the way. There's a blue robe. I think I saw a pause. We have found our dance zombie party on Ordeals.
And this is a very rude spot for the Fabul Gauntlet because
That's the worst
party. Yeah, it's so many zombies. I think this is the most physical enemies that you ever have to fight. Luckily, we have Edge, who does know Flame, who can get us through some kind of tight spots.
He can. Edge, if you flame every single encounter, will run out of NP for one of these. So I actually think it's pretty smart here for Heart to decide, I'll take out one of these without casting Flame, and then cast Flame on the other packs. If played that way, I think that would be pretty heads up. But yeah, the other just annoying thing about this Alt Gauntlet in particular is that because it's a back attack, you have to sit and wait for the enemies to act, like, no matter what. And I think for one of them, yeah, it's like 7 or 9 zombies all get to kind of act before you get to do anything. It's just really annoying.
Here's the nice thing, though. It's one of those things that's annoying as a speedrunner because you have this anxiousness. You want to go fast, and you have to keep going. But this is also something that, the other guys got to go through the same thing. So it feels like a time loss, and it feels really bad when you're doing it. But it's not really a time loss because the other guy's going to have to go through the same slog that you are.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That's a great way to put that. It does feel bad because it feels slow, but your opponent, he's also got to go through this kind of slow gauntlet. And Heart not opting to flame that last pack, the spirits and ghosts on this mountain very annoyingly absorb fire. So we'll see if the flame wants to come out here. Yeah, Heart queues up the flame now, ready to burn these zombies. It's also going down, and Tella going down, not really a problem for Heart. The really only relevant party member here is Edge, and maybe Kane. But yeah, this Alt Gauntlet could be at much worse locations. I'm still waiting for that seed that has the hard required Alt Gauntlet at the Masamune altar. It's probably the worst spot in the game.
I've had so many practice seeds that's popped up.
Oh, really?
I hate that you summoned it. It's so bad. It's what is that? That's like back-to-back evil masks, then 1 red dragon, then 2 red dragons,
and a couple behemoths in there. Yeah, it's pretty awful. And the variety of those enemies, the evil mask versus the behemoth versus the dragons, what you need to handle those encounters, it's just like vastly different. So yeah, it's a party you really don't want. But thankfully, this run, we've got the Alt Gauntlet here on Ordeals, and it's with this power, honestly, it's pretty comfy.
Here's the most intriguing thing about this, from my perspective. We are 15 minutes into the seed. We already have 3 of our 8 bosses found and killed. We have Val, we have Odin, and now we have the Alt Gauntlet. That's very, very speedy for a boss hunt fight, which could bode well, meaning this is just kind of a jet seed and we're going to keep moving right along. Or it could mean that we're going to be stuck at just finding 1 out of 2 bosses and going to have to search to the ends of the earth and to the moon to get there.
To the moon and beyond. I've seen all sorts of setups that these boss hunts create. Yeah, we have 3 now. you're right. We could suddenly have 5 and then 6 and then 7. I've seen getting the crystal before even getting darkness access before, though that's obviously not the case this seed. Or we could just get like kind of stuck. And seeing for a moment here. Oh, I think I missed what that key item was. Did you see it?
Didn't quite see it, no, unfortunately. But hey, how about a 4th boss?
Wow, yeah, so speaking of bosses you really don't want to see at locations, King Queen Edlin, the freebie mirror room's not exactly what you want, but yeah, 4 bosses already found at this point. I mean, it just... You just start to keep in the back of your mind, it's like, okay, I've got 4 bosses now. Am I going to get a 5th? Am I going to get a 6th? I mean, it could very easily be the seed that you get underground. You find a couple of your bosses, then you go to the moon, it's got a couple of your bosses, and you're just done. It would be super jet. Or they could be deeply hidden, yeah.
It's not unheard of for this particular flag set. If things just kind of lay out in front of you perfectly, for these to be sub 1 hour seats. We've seen it done in practice by some fantastic runners and some folks who maybe not historically had considered themselves fantastic runners, but things just lay out for it. So it's not outside the realm of possibility to be sub hour here. And right now 4 bosses in with a Crystal Sword Cecil and a Masamune, like, we're lining up for it.
We're lining up very well. We're zooming. We're ready to ready to get scooting. I think the challenge of this seed for I think some runners is going to be the lack of access to a white mage. So I will be curious to see how Softnum and Heart, how they both react to that. I don't think it will be very bad. We really want to find Bacchus wine. That is our access to Berserk easily. I think that might be one of the better things to find, though. Softnum without Avenger, and actually Hart might have picked it up too. I kind of not sure if he did or not, because I know he picked up that character in Lottery Pass. But basically, I think the one challenge might be the lack of access to a white mage here, but otherwise, yeah, we're just kind of ready to go. Oh, and chat confirming for us, thank you very much, that Ordeals has just a full moon, which lets you back row edge. Not really a waste of a reward, to be honest.
Hey, how would you... Is this a Mylan? Is this a Mylan? Are we really gonna... Are we at 5 bosses? Okay.
Almost.
I was like,
maybe...
Really?
Look, maybe the party is right after this. Maybe it could be. Could be. Probably not. No, it's a sparkle.
Is it?
Do we care about
but it's pale dim.
Oh my god. Neon, you got somewhere to be?
Clearly, I mean, I get wanting to go back to bed too. You know, it's getting late.
Bed's super
my
comfy.
Goodness. Oh, okay. I hear you, Neon. Loud and clear.
Neon, our restreamer for the evening, they're saying, yeah, I stopped FF14's MSQ for this. For those of us in the FF14 community, a patch did just drop for that game, so I know a lot of us are angsty to get to experiencing it. It's pretty funny.
I mean, aren't they considerate of the Final Fantasy free Enterprise tournament schedule? Come on, guys.
I know, right? Thank you for rolling the seed for us. Okay, so I mean, we can't hatch our chickens too early, though. I mean, we could get like 6 bosses, right? And then suddenly it's just like, where the heck is number 7? You never know with these seeds.
It's true, and that was just a crystal ring from the Baron Inn. So really, the only locations that we have not checked that are available to us in the overworld. Honestly, neither of our runners have checked Antlion, which, good for you guys. I appreciate the Antlion fade that's become a little bit more commonplace in this particular tournament. So kudos. But then we also have that Earth Crystal, which we've already looted the Troya Treasury. But, you know, there is a couple boss checks that we can do up there, plus some knowledge on what the boss is going to be down in Dwarf Castle. So I've always really highly valued Earth Crystal, not just because of the 2 boss checks, but because of the knowledge before going into the underground.
Yeah, Zod is, I agree with you completely. Zod is great for that, and it's a little bit less so on these flags. On the Red Moon flags that have the warp glitch off, I love the Zod check because when you know the Dwarf 2 castle boss, and then you can peek the Dwarf 1 boss just by walking in, if neither of those are the bosses that you want, you could pretty easily just fade that. It's a little trickier on these flags because we do have the warp glitch on, which means once you complete Dwarf Castle, you can cast Warp and get access to the Darkness Crystal room in the Luca Cave. Also,
Yeah,
High Plague, By Plague.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about doing Antlion right before you're about to go into the underground. It's usually a one swing at that point in time, and it can take a couple more swings if you're not used to it. So, also looks like doing Fabul right now. I would probably fade Fabul, but I get it, and we happen to know that it's a Darkness Crystal, so I think it's still a good play here.
Yeah, so here's my defense of doing Fabul. I am a proponent of not fading a Fabul defense because it is a boss and a key item check available early, and when I've been playing these seeds in my own practice, I'm finding that once I find darkness and I've got access underground, I'm less interested in Sheila 1 because I tend to want to run to the moon. And it depends on what key items are available, right? Of course, but like if there's only a couple of bosses left and we get underground, which is very viable for this seed, I'm pretty likely to just leave Sheila 1 behind and want to run straight to the moon. And because of that, it doesn't really end up mattering then when you do Fabul defense. So that's one defense of that. And the other very quickly is just that when you have Tel in the seed, you have a lot of incentive to try to find the Darkness Crystal.
Absolutely true. Great insights into how we're going to run. So let's see. Let me go through bracketology. Who is Solaris facing?
I'm actually facing our tracker. Solid. Shout out to our restream team, by the way. This was, I'm pretty sure not intentional. It's just kind of funny.
Hey, you know what? They put Poidrick and myself for the opening commentary team for the tournament for the very first seed. So, and of course, we're racing each other this Friday as well. So.
I love that. I mean, that's what ends up happening, though, right? I mean, all of us that are racing, not all of us, but many of us that are racing in this tournament and tournaments past are pretty embedded in the community at this point and have put our hats in to do commentary and restreaming and whatnot. Which reminds me, if you like, hearing the talking or doing the button pushing, we're always looking for folks to join our restream team. You can find a link to that in our Discord. If you would ever like to join, we're always looking for folks. It's a good time, I promise.
Absolutely, and we do not bite on a regular basis, only when we have consent. So
we also have cookies, like actual.
We do have lots of cookies, yes.
Digital, but we have cookies, yeah. All right. Meanwhile, Hart clearing his checks in the overworld. I do agree with this play. We talked about Zot being pretty juicy as far as the boss availability, the boss knowledge here. So I like Hart cleaning up, having done Fabul defense, heads over, is going to do Zot now, and then depending on what Zot gives, there might be more to do overworld, but it's more than likely we'll be going. Oh, actually, yeah, we don't have the hook, so this must be the hook. Never mind. This will probably lead towards the hook. That'll let us get underground. I'm so used to having the hook by at this point in these seeds.
I know, it seems a little bit weird that we don't already have the hook, but if this isn't the hook, it'll lead us to the path for the hook.
Exactly.
It may lead us to Baron. Honestly, I think I would prefer it leading to Baron because I love, there's a handful of key items that I always try to look out for, and this is kind of the balance in these flag sets. You want to keep an eye out for the Baron key, the Twin Harp, the Tower key, the Luca key, and the package. And the Earth Crystal, because those are the key items that lock bosses. Some of them you can peek early, some of them you can't peek early, but there's enough key items that do lock bosses that sometimes you have to kind of do the mental math as you're going through the seed as, okay, I could go up and do, the moon now, but well, there's 6 other places that I haven't been able to check that's here on the Earth. So can I just face check the bosses, or do I have to clear because I need to get some key items because they could very well be back down on Earth? There's a lot of playing the percentages and kind of gambling in this particular flag set. So you can't outright ignore the key items.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why you can't ever count a runner out in these flags either, because of that somewhat gambly aspect, which I love. I mean, randomizers they have random in the name, right? They're much like card games, another random kind of game that I particularly love. Like, you make these intentional choices they're gambles basically, but they're knowledge gambles, and getting key items that get you access to more bosses just ends up being safer. So I also would love to see a Baron key here. It's also super convenient because Zot just drops you off right in front of Baron. But anyways, we were kind of talking over, that was, I want to say, Dark Elf was that first boss, which is not what we're looking for. Yeah.
And hi Mylon.
Oh, it's Mylon.
We are at 6 of 7, or 6 out of our 7 bosses.
Okay, here
30 minutes.
All right, hear me out. I know we've got a hook, or we're gonna end up getting a hook. But needing one boss, you could also just run straight to the moon, like now.
That
without ever going
it wouldn't be a bad
underground.
play. It wouldn't be a bad play.
No, it's certainly it is a gamble for sure. There's no guarantee that the boss is up there, but we were just talking about these decisions. Like, this is now going to be a decision in our runner's laps. Like, you need to go find one boss. It could be anywhere. Go.
And here's the real trick to it. It's, if you're worried about your levels, I mean, you still have access to the B machine to grab some quick levels, even though your slingshot for Cecil is kind of out of the way. But the bosses that you are looking for are either a Golbez, which you can set up around, or the freebie guards.
All right, and there's directly our hook from Zot, so that'll be our official underground, actually our only underground access. With the Force Hook flag on, you can't find the Magma Key through any source except something already underground. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would love the aggressive play of running straight to the moon. I think it's also very viable to run down that hook route right now, because that's honestly 2 bosses right there. And then once you're underground, you can make very quick checks at the Fey March and at Dwarf Castle, at Dwarf 1, and you get to see top of tower. So I mean, there are a lot of bosses along the way taking down this hook route too. So I think it's also viable, and that's the route Hart is going to choose.
Welcome everyone coming over from Free Enterprise Prime channel. We have, first of all, welcome. Please do not spoil whatever happened with the previous race. There's some of us like to go back and watch it, so I appreciate everyone not spoiling the results of the previous race. We have a fast one here, folks. Wines and Sirens are available, by the way, in this
shop. I wanted to... Right, was ready to call that out. Like, you want to go fast? Well, here's your white mage and here's your grind. Go. This scene is incredible.
We have 6 bosses already down, like, in the course of everything. Worth noting, Softnum has not gone up to check Hobbs, which is where Odin is, so we have to keep an eye on that. Softnum will eventually have to go do that. Mylon is going to be the second boss up here in Tower of Zod. So we have 6 of our 7 bosses at 30 minutes before we've ever touched the underground. And by the way, we also already have Darkness Crystal.
Yes. Oh. Yep. Welcome to whatever this chut is. Hart's taking a moment because he's got a lot of things he wants to purchase here. Sees a cursed ring in that shop. I really love selling the crystal rings, sell the Artemis bow. Just, you don't need any of it. You need the money. Buys. Okay, we've got 20 sirens. I don't believe Hart bought any Bacchus, which would be handy to have out, I think, a few of them, but I do agree that you don't really need much in the way of Bacchus because, oh, Heart taking that unfortunate trap. It's very easy to grab the chest there just along the way because, you know, not touch much of anything else. I don't think Heart wanted this trap, but he's got the power to take it out. Might get another crystal sword. That would be pretty funny.
I mean, this seed has been, from the very beginning, spelled out the word go. Earth Crystal is your very first item, with a Masamune and a crystal sword in the Troya treasury. This could be, it's just... I missed
sorry
that.
That broke me. That was an Excalibur. Look, it's a really nice dart. It's a really expensive shiny dart.
I mean, there's another white lance, by the way. So
and a white spear.
This has been amazing. Okay, Calbrena. So we're not completely 100% free and done already.
I mean, we've got 2 more boss checks though. Like, we've got whatever the King Queen spot is, and then we'll see the top of tower, top of lower Babel right after the dolls are done. So like, there's more to come.
Hey Neon, I'm going to need you to be available on this Friday at about 7 o'clock, okay?
Oh wow. Yeah, and I was looking forward to. Okay, all right. I don't want to put this evil into the world too strongly, but there is still a world. There's still a world that our 2 bosses are going to be locked behind, let's say, the package and the Twin Harp, and both of them are on the moon. Like, that world could still exist. It's just extraordinarily unlikely.
No, absolutely. And there's something very interesting about a seed that kind of unfolds in front of you like this, in that not only are you moving very, very quickly, but you can also know, hey, my opponent is also like right behind me based on everything else that I have already done, which adds an extra layer of pressure because it means that you can't make any mistakes.
It's very nerve-wracking to know that you and your opponent are in a jet seed or a likely jet seed situation, and we see Softnum hovering over Mysidia. You know, if you ever need to, when you're running, folks, like, take that moment to think. Like, you don't need to necessarily just go, like, yeah, you can take time to be thinking while you're moving, but if you ever just need a moment to pause, like, make sure that you take that, you know, get yourself grounded and get yourself moving forward. Now, I'm going to call something out with Softnum. I'm really going to hope with all of my strength and all of my might that Softnum remembers that hops check. It's very easy to forget. There isn't a character there that we care about. We tend to route that in early. I've seen many folks fade that hops already. We're going to just hope very strongly that he goes to that spot.
No, absolutely.
Okay,
We're hoping for
is not a very nice find here. We're
Evil
going to get through
tends
it.
to be pretty punchy, but yeah,
It's just very punchy. Yeah, with any other team, Evil Wall is particularly nasty at that spot because Evil Wall basically cheats and acts twice. He cheats in the same way that Bacchus essentially cheats, just due to like weird ATB technical reasons, but and agility magic. But Heart with all that power, able to get through it pretty quickly.
It'll be interesting here with Calbrena because we have a very melee-heavy party, and melee-heavy parties don't tend to have a lot of sweeping magic spells to take care of all of the Calbrena dolls all at once. And I haven't seen an Hourglass either, which means we're probably going to have a visit from the extra large doll today.
Yeah, don't often see the big doll. For like you said, normally there's magic to take care of that, or an Hourglass or whatnot. The big doll, it can be spooky because it can use an ability called Glance, which will guaranteed charm one of your party members, unless you're wearing, I think, maybe a headband. A headband avoids that, but yeah, charming one of these overpowered melee, especially Sussel, would be a little spooky. Though you can just punch that party member and kind of keep them going okay.
Chad also pointing out, they are susceptible to Toad as well.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Could go out of your way to cast that.
Yeah, that's when I was going to bring up. When I was thinking about it at the start of this too, and also we see Softnum picking up his X-Cal as well. It just cracks me up. Anyways, yeah. So if you Toad the Cal dolls, they're the ones that don't have the boss bit. The Toads try to turn into Calbrena, but they can't. I don't know if it's because it's coded as magic or what the thing is, but they're unable to do it. So you get the message, but they don't actually do it. We see the Toad queued up, but it is, yeah, unfortunately a little bit slow until it gets the Toad out now, but we've already got the big doll. That is okay though. We'll be able to, we've got so much power, I can't imagine this causes too much trouble.
So it's worth pointing out, Softnum does not have that big bad crystal sword. That the crystal sword was available in the in the treasury. I didn't even blink. I guess blink and I missed it. Softnum never visited the Troya treasury, which was absolutely loaded. That's, I mean, just the power that was available to us from the drop of the gate. Not having that treasury is going to hurt in the long term for Softnum, because the difference between Crystal Sword and X-Cal is still the second best sword in the game, but the difference between Crystal Sword and X-Cal is the equivalent of X-Cal and the Silver Sword. It's that big of a power jump.
It is a very big power jump. It is very good that it is actually very good that he got that Excalibur though, because it will do a lot of work towards catching him up to Heart's power level. The Excalibur will swing 4 less damage overall on average, but I think long term as the seed goes on, long term? The seed is probably going to end fairly quickly. The odds say, at least, given where we are with the bosses, that at the Zeromus fight with levels, the difference between the X-Cal and the Crystal Sword ends up being not quite that bad anymore, especially when you've got other power available.
Tracker is pointing out that it might be the last objective at the top of the tower. Was that the guard sprite?
Yeah, there's so much going on. I actually honestly missed it. If it was the guards, it could be the Kaipo soldiers or the Baron guards. We want the guard variety. I would not be surprised if Heart runs up there fairly shortly. I wouldn't even be surprised if Softnum, who's looking for 2 bosses, after this hook route, drops the airship immediately to run up. But yeah, that treasury check, it's kind of interesting. It's sort of tempting to fade it when you've got a lot of power available right at the start. Just like Softnum finding that Avenger right away, it might have been like, wow, I've got, all this power here. I don't really need to do much looting anymore. But the reason I end up doing it on Blue Moon Flags particularly is because of that chance at a Crystal Sword. It's really the main thing. Or an Excalibur when you have a Cecil. I'm not sure the odds on T-Wildish. On T-Pro, it's about 1% per box, which adds up to 16.5%, I want to say, for 18 boxes. The odds are obviously better on T-Wildish, so it can end up being a tough fade.
I've always found myself, when I'm running my seeds, even if I have the power and if I'm sub 30 minutes, I'm like, I just find it hard to justify myself skipping that because of the various power that you can find there.
We're loot goblins. We love being loot goblins, right? Give me all the loot. It's so much amazing. 18, it's like opening 18 little gotcha boxes. Just pipe it into me.
That little sound of opening the treasure chest is like the little hit of serotonin that my brain.
Yep.
They're like, yep.
Makes the brain feel the goods. But gambling bad, by the way. Just want to put that out there. Fun gambling, okay. Gambling for actual money. Be very careful. But I think the only time I would fade that treasure is if like I already had a crystal sword, basically. Like if I had the equipment that Heart has right now, and then I got the Earth Crystal, I'd probably be like, yeah, I'm good. I don't really need it.
Yeah. So, all right, here's where we find out exactly how friendly this seed is to us.
Oh, I'm nervous.
Because if this is guards, we got the sirens to do an egg grind right now. I don't know. I think I still take that. There's still a couple key items. Yeah.
I still take it too, and I would happily walk out a Baron key, a Tower key, which would be very cheeky of the seed. Twin Harp I'd be a little sad about. Not sure I would walk out a Sand Ruby because you're not guaranteed to really get 10 key items given this situation. I don't blame Heart for fading it though. It is still... You still have to get through the fight, right? And you're just looking for a boss. Like that's not one of the bosses you're looking for. So no, let's just get to the next one, the next one, the next one. There's so many to check right now.
I mean, true. You have these bosses in the Fey March. I mean, go ahead, pick up this key item. Oh, it's a package. How would you like to check that before you go to the moon as well?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's like a 2-minute commitment. Because you got to go through that entire you got to go through to the very end basically to picking that character up, which on this flag set is an adorable picky. If you've not run these flags yet, highly recommend you get a package, by the way, and you do it just for fun, because the piggy that replaces the character is just super great. But yeah, you have to get all the way to the end of that and then see the boss and then realize it's not Golbez or the guards and be kind of sad. I wouldn't hate the gamble, but yeah. Baymarch not having what we want. It's DKC on the left, Lugia on the right.
Yep, so at this point, I mean, the other checks that we have, we can face check. We already know what the second boss is in Dwarf Castle, so we can face check the first boss, see if it's either Golbez or guards. And then I kind of like going to the moon and start face checking bosses up there.
Yep, run straight to the moon, don't look back. The D machine grind that was available earlier, and I guess, well, without the slingshot, it's a little less tempting. We've got sirens. It's kind of interesting because that D machine grind on these flags also means being able to check the giant while you're up there, because one of those bosses could be up there too, though it ends up being tricky, right? Because you could find like a boss, you could find like the Maga Sisters at the element spots, which is particularly nasty place to find them, and be pretty sad when CPU doesn't have your boss. Dark Imps at Dwarf Castle 1, Heart says, I'm not interested, I'll fade. Let's go elsewhere.
I like it, and again, that's the value of having that early Earth Crystal check, because I mean, just normally that would be... Yeah, so do you do the package just because, hey, if it's here,
I think I would save... This is tricky. I think I would save outside of the Lunar Whale and run to the moon and check all those boss spots. You might want to get some sort of a grind done first, so maybe do those eggs now before you do anything, because we really just want the one boss. But what I'm getting at is to be able to check the moon of its bosses, and if none of them are there, then reset back to Earth, right? Leave a save up on moon, but reset back to Earth, then check the package. And then when that has nothing, you can reset back to the moon, for instance, right? And then start, I guess you'd have to start clearing it at that point. It's tricky.
Meanwhile, Hart does take a quick side quest to go and pick up some Bacchus ones. Um, Already saw him pick up quite a few Sirens the first time around, but said, hey, I have some more money now, so might as well.
Yeah, I think it's heads up to pick up some Bacchus now. I wouldn't have minded buying a few on the way down, but good to remember and get them now. It's less like critical because we have that Avenger, but at Zeromus especially, it is a lot nicer to be able to set up with Bacchus in that fight than trying to do it with just Atella. So I think it's pretty heads up to go pick those up before heading to the moon. And chat getting excited about selling that curse ring. That is the second curse ring that Hart found. I think Hart bought one in Eblin and then happened to find one in the Fame Arch. So able to turn that into cash money at least.
Yep, quick conversion rate. So 47 minutes, and we're all, I mean, this, like we said, this is not unheard of, but if we find a very, very quick check here, looks like Softnum's also getting ready to go up to the moon. Softnum, one boss behind, 5 or 7 bosses. Remember, that Odin spot, oh goodness, that could make quite a bit of difference.
Yeah, that Odin on Hobbs, just sitting there waiting to get Thunderstruck. We're gonna see what happens here. But yeah, otherwise our two runners really have converged here, both heading to the moon at the same time, looking for bosses. Are you at this point, Vitasia? Are you a bottom-up player? Are you a top-down? Where would you be thinking to go here?
I think the most difficult part of this for me, I mean, I try to go top down. Whether or not I have the pass is part of the equation, though. If I'm only looking for one boss, absolutely top down. If I'm looking for 2 bosses, I might do bottom up at that point in time. If I, whether or not I have the pass or not, though.
Yeah, I think the pass is a pretty critical part of that, because it really feels bad when you have to walk that entire lunar subterrane twice, because you took some bosses down there and then had to clear the rest of the seed instead of being able to do those bosses. Now we find a karate at the cave value spot, and I think Hart is looking to set up for a grind. I see the sirens, I see hourglasses. We're kind of thinking here in our menu here. Couple things on my mind. Yeah, sets up weak. I like this play a lot. So we're going to be able to do hourglasses on these gold dragons. We'll throw that to lock them up, and then Tella can cast the weak spell, put them in single-digit hit points, and then this will be access to a grind. I also love what Softnum is doing, because karate is a quote-unquote free fight for Cecil after 2 punches and 2 kicks were done. I'm putting that in giant air quotes, though, because Cecil drops kind of immediately. There is a way through that, but karate does have to kind of cooperate.
Yeah, that's the difficult part, taking those things at the levels that we're at. It looks like that we're in late 20s. We're not early 30s yet, even. So it's still very, very early. And unless you're set up to go through, I mean, we're seeing exactly where Hart is right now in the grind, doing minimal damage to these King Ryus, even though just swinging away, still reliant on that weak spell.
Yeah, King Ryus are notorious for actually having meaningful defense, especially the one in the back row. A lot of enemies in Final Fantasy IV don't have a meaningful defense stat, but these two, for kind of whatever reason. Blue Dragons are the other notable one that have like just kind of a lot of armor packed onto them, so... but yeah, I mean, we really need those levels. Those levels means more stats. They mean more multipliers, which means like we're just gonna do more damage, basically. So yeah, pretty important. Softnum back here at Cave Value. Hopefully dropped a save this time. Had to take an unfortunate wipe back to the blue planet, so had to take the Lunar Whale back over here. But gonna set up... I really love the cheekiness here. Gonna set up and try to find out how he can take on this karate. I think it's gonna be very tricky because this bot has a ton of attack power, and that kick alone might kill Cecil.
very close to it.
Yeah, 500. All right, we gotta heal Cecil now, or get a punch in before that kick goes out. Though I think with the agility setup, it's not gonna work out that way. Cecil's gonna punch. I don't think it's gonna trigger. We gotta heal that Cecil now.
Oh, but there's the kick.
Unfortunately, yeah, there's the kick. Cecil goes down. Right idea, very, very much the right idea. Just missing one critical piece. You gotta get, be prepared for 2 kicks basically. And we knew that the kick did more than 400, whatever-ish hit points that Cecil had. So, unfortunate wipe there, but it is very doable. I don't blame Softnum though for saying, you know what? I'll come back to that thought later.
Also on Heartside, something I want to point out that was very cheeky. Remember, Tella only has 90 MP. Weak cast 25, so really you only get 3 weak casts. However, he also knows Psych, and he has an edge that's not really using his MP right at the moment. So while setting up and going through here, doesn't really have access to a whole lot of ethers. But psyching his characters that aren't using their MP in both Edge and I assume Cecil will allow him to continue this grind a little bit longer than I think what otherwise he'd be able to do.
Yeah, he's got 2 great MP batteries in Edge and Cecil. They're just like portable ethers. Just it takes a little effort to get the MP out of them.
Meanwhile, Softnum is going to do us a favor and go over here and start face checking bosses. So we're going to have some new information over on Softnum's side.
I think Softnum is hoping that, well, he doesn't know where Odin is, but we know that Golbez is pretty much doable without levels, and I think if he's got those hourglasses, Demist is probably not a boss you like seeing on the moon, especially with an Avenger already worn. Demist having that, going into mist form with the Avenger makes it a little tricky, but looks like he's going to take on this fight. I would love to see some darts flying here. We believe we've got a decent number of high-powered darts. There's at least a white spear unless we've sold it. Anything to make this Demist get off my screen before before the mist form happens, I think would be very beneficial right now. Otherwise, we're going to have to find a way, maybe with the stop spell, to stop that Kane from attacking. Or we could be stuck here for some time.
I keep on looking over at Softnum's Cecil, and I don't think that's a holy sword that Cecil's swinging, and it's not the Avenger.
No, I don't think so either. It looked like maybe a silver sword or something, just based on the coloration of the sword. It was a little hard for me to tell. Yeah, I was thinking that too. But unfortunately, Softnum's going to learn the bad news, and we've all been here. We've all been here against this boss. This is what happens when you berserk against Demist. You get stuck here for, well, a little bit of a while.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a fun place to be in, but I mean, it's one of those things that it's never as bad as you remember it, and then you're in the middle of the fight, and then you feel really, really bad.
Yeah,
surely I can do it.
I'm going to call it a good friend of mine, Martin Broadcloak. If you ever see him, ask him what fighting Demist in the White Spear altar was like for him. He'll have words for you, I promise. And by words, I mean things that are probably not safe to say on a restream. So chat's pointing out that Softnum might not actually have that Excalibur anymore. If he reset out of that Excal somehow, I think I lost the thread of what might have happened there. But yeah, I think there's a possibility he just doesn't have that Excalibur anymore.
That Excal was on our way into the underground. So are we talking like not even that doesn't even have underground access right now?
It might be. It might be. I think with all the resetting and kind of going back and forth with both these runners, I've lost the thread a little bit on where he is in his route. I know I saw one reset of his that went from like cave value all the way back to Earth after he wiped a karate that first time, so it might just be like a couple, it's kind of a couple kinks to work out, and like your safe scumming with these seeds. Kind of asking if they will grind. We did see Heart take a pretty good grind there, pretty lengthy grind. I think Softnum at some point will be incentivized as well. This might be our treasury check, actually. Now that Softnum is in Troya Castle, that would be really great news for him. No, come back, come back. So close, but so far.
This is one of those things that I think is going to be valuable for, as a runner. There is a great deal of value going back and watching these races again. So
yes.
Softnum, if you're going back and rewatching this, just know that, the Troya Treasury is a significant time save just in this particular scene, based on what we're seeing at this point in time. So it's lessons learned, because I think there are other seeds that Troya Treasury maybe isn't so much of a time save, but always something to learn in any randomizer, but especially in free enterprise.
Yeah, absolutely. And our community is full of knowledge, almost too much sometimes. If you ask a question in the Newbies Corner, there will be a lot of very helpful people there. Lots of great stuff to look in our Discord, which if you're not in, I highly recommend you join, by the way. Just looking up information about these seeds in general, free enterprise in general. But yeah, coming back, watching this race, watching how Hart has handled this. I think Hart has had a good head on his shoulders as far as routing and play goes this seed. So there'll be a lot, for Softnum to learn from him. And yeah, sometimes we just have an off day, it just happens. Like, I think Softnum is taking the moment now to try to rally and, see what he needs to do to get through the rest of this seed.
Meanwhile, Hart is going to be showing us the Crystal Sword altar. This is one of those kind of out-of-the-way checks right now.
That's okay, not so. It's not what we're looking for. I love the full top-down play here. Hart would love to have found one of the bosses at the Crystal Sword altar. Without that pass, if you go to the very bottom of the moon, don't find your boss, and then you go to the Crystal Sword altar, and then you do find your boss, it's just a lot more walking. It's of course a gamble because Crystal Sword is just one check versus the rest of, the bottom of the moon. But I think it's a sound decision to go check that first. So we're committed to the full top down, basically, with this play.
No, absolutely. And it's, there's routing for optimism and routing for pessimism. And I think the top-down play is a little bit of routing for pessimism. Like, I got to double-check these because it would feel so bad if these are here.
Yeah, that's a great way to put that. Optimism and pessimism, also conservative versus aggressive play. Water Hag, the other blue robe, that's a freebie if we end up wanting to do some checks just for key items. But yeah, we got 2 checks left here. At a Golbez or a guard. So where are you, boss? Bahamut's not it.
So, this is where it gets interesting because we have had this Darkness Crystal from the get-go. And if it's not here, we only have 2 more boss checks that are at least directly opened up from the Darkness Crystal. And that's in the Giant, which neither of our runners have seemed particularly inclined to go towards, even with that early tell-up.
Yeah, no, you had a major decision point, I think. All runners running this seed, it's either you do a D-Machine immediately, and then you're going to check that Giant when you're up there. Wyvern at the Crystal Sword, at the Masamune altar, not what you want to see, and also not a boss that we're hunting.
Yeah, so at this point in time, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because okay, it's not there, then it has to either be on the giant or locked behind one of the key items because we've already checked kind of the other places. Now, you also feel bad because there's a lot of key item locations back on Earth that you opted not to full clear uh, in order to go to the moon. You have Top of Tower, you have Dwarf Castle, you have the two bosses in the Fey March, for example. So there's 4 key item checks now on Earth, and there are, you know, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 7 key item checks now on the moon. So now it's like, okay, is the boss one of the 2 spots that are on the giant, or is it hidden behind one of the key item spots? And how quickly can I clear out some of these key item locations? The math starts getting a little bit crazy in your head, and the pressure starts mounting.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where calling back to a play that I would have liked to see earlier, where you take eggs on the moon, and okay, Rat Tail from the White Spear Altar, we're going to put that in a back pocket. That's a key item check towards a boss. Don't know what it is yet, but I liked the play of doing eggs immediately, where just before coming to the moon, so that you could set a save down there, and then do the moon, check what's there. When you don't find any of your bosses, you leave a save somewhere here on the moon, right? So you can start doing that, and then you leave, and then you have the choice of either going to the giant, seeing if your boss is there, or you could reset back to Earth, right? And then check the package, see if your boss is there, and then when it's not there, so it's going to be beneficial to set up. What I'm getting at is these multiple save scums in these situations when you're just looking for one of these bosses. Now, Hart came to the moon and then took his grind here, so he doesn't really have a lot of incentive to leave, I think, and that's why we're doing some of these moon checks. Though I wouldn't mind seeing the other way you can go is to save and check the giant first. But I mean, it's all just kind of a guess at this point, where it is you're supposed to go in this seed.
Softnum giving us some interesting information. Cure 3 potions available there in the Aggert's item shop. Now, we are fully white mageless in this particular seed. We have Tella as our best white mage, quote unquote.
He's trying his best. He's doing his darndest. 90 MP, 2 MP batteries, and a will to thrive. But I think it's good to point out those. I think it's good to point out those Cure 3s though, because they are guaranteed in Sades that don't have a white mage like this one, and at Zeromus particularly, you're going to want some healing power that's more than a Cure 2, even with all the obscene power that is available in this seed. Yeah, and the Cure 3 is not super relevant, I think, otherwise in this seed, just because you have so much power. But at Zeromus especially, they're pretty handy. If you didn't have enough good weaponry...
I mean, you got better darts, I suppose.
How about another Masamune and another Excalibur?
Here's the problem.
Tracker in chat, make some sword chucks. Sorry, go ahead.
Sword chucks, yo. No, here's the problem, because whenever I hear darts now, I get it crossed with Ted Lasso in my head. So I'm just picturing Edge in the back of my head going, barbecue sauce, and chucking a dart.
Wait, what? What is this?
Ted Lasso, man. Okay.
Oh, I'm not familiar. Oh no,
Funny
I'm
show.
uncultured. I lose my legend status from this. I'll have to check that out.
Highly recommend. I mean, it's an amazing sitcom that did not appear anywhere except Apple TV. So do not blame people if they have not seen it. But Ted Lasso is amazing, and just look up Ted Lasso Dartscape. That's all you need.
I will do that after this. Hard fighting with the airship a little bit. It gets a little tricky trying to drop that hovercraft and then also land in this like very little island, but rat tail turning. Okay, a pass is good. It's good to have the pass. It's just not progression of any sort.
I mean, if anything, you're happy to full clear the rest of the Earth now. You're like, okay, I'm gonna get every key item that I could possibly get. Heart's doing a package check though.
Yep, here's that package check. I mean, there's not much left to do. It's either check this package or do fight bosses that we know aren't required in order to do key item checks. So it's this, or Dwarf Castle, which is very slow, and then you can Warp Glitch, because Luca might have something. If the key item logic wants you to get that Luca... Actually, bosses don't really care about key item logic. Yeah, if Luca has any, like, Twin Harp or whatever, that's access to another boss. So Dwarf Castle looks pretty good, but it's pretty slow. And then the Fey March and the Top of Tower, also not quick checks. So yeah, I really like this play right now.
And keep in mind that Top of Tower is something that Heart's already reset out of once. Saw one boss and said, no thank you. Hey, Softnum, congratulations. There's your crystal sword.
My God, that is incredible. So Softnum, after having this ordeal of a fight with the quote-unquote free karate at one of the punchiest spots in the game, rallies together, gets his Excalibur back that he had, I think, unfortunately reset out of, finally gets through that fight and gets rewarded with a crystal sword. I think that is just, that was just a beautiful moment for me.
That's fantastic. And Softnum, that was a well-deserved crystal sword right there. So congratulations. One was available to you sub 5 minutes, but you know.
That's okay. That's okay. You know, these things happen, and Softnum will get to look back and see kind of what went wrong in the seed if he wants to. I know some folks, myself, sometimes I don't end up checking, but there we go.
No, I cannot believe this. No.
Yeah, so, the odds play where I said I liked the moon first, which is what Hart did. And you were like, well, you could just check the package. I'm like, no. Well, you could have had the Baron Guards without having touched the moon, which means you could have had the crystal. Hart at least has this pass, so has immediate access to Zemus and did his grind on the moon. So, I mean, it's not like... it's not the end of the world, but yeah. Wow. Package pays off.
I just remember... Where was package?
It was a Fey March freebie, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that package could have been done, much earlier. It's kind of tough to do because it's just time consuming, but, here we are.
We're at an hour, 10 minutes, and picking up a vampire just because, hey, I need something to try to slow this Zemus down, to try to nerf a Big Bang. Again, the challenge is going to be there's no white mage. There's no true white mage. We have Tella, who's going to be giving it his all.
But Hart critically does not have those Cure 3s. I haven't been able to see his inventory too thoroughly, but I'm pretty sure I only saw Cure 2s. And actually Hart might be shopping. So, or actually this might be eggs. Let's see what's going to happen here. Oh, okay. I know what's happening here. Yep, we're going to take a Siren, and this Sirens here get you the Centipede fight. Centipedes you can steal a Silk Web from. Nice trick to know.
Ah, okay. I see. I'm picking up what you're putting down. All right.
Yeah, so you can get a guaranteed Silk Web with an Edge and a Siren, and then the Silk Web will really help. Also. I love hate when I do
airship bark. Yeah.
Trying to go up that hole is just like You land in that spot like more than you really care to admit. Happens to me all the time. Cheers, everyone. Anyways,
I'm right there with you,
yeah, that silk web is heads up because of not having the white mage, basically. You often don't need it with these high-powered Zeromus fights, but if anything goes south with your Zerker party and a black hole goes out, once the black hole hits and you're at like battle speed 1 or 2 or even 3, the fight can suddenly really get spiral out of control, and the silk web helps slow that down a little bit to give you space to breathe. So I like the conservative play Hart has been kind of exhibiting, making the smart, logical plays, making the plays that say, I'm going to get through this seed and I'm just going to do it very efficiently and safe. And that's what makes Hart. That is what's making Hart a really good runner in this race.
Worth pointing out, and our restreamer Neon Dre is pointing out, these are really kind of low levels.
Yes, they are.
Cecil is, we're barely above 2k health, so really counting on Zerkers to be putting in quite a bit of work. It's going to be very, very tight through here. This is by no means a free fight for Zemus right now.
Yeah, this is going to be really exciting to watch. There's definitely a way through this. Also, chat, looking for some Z flags at this point.
And no one's. Oh, there they are.
Flags.
Okay.
There they are. Now we can announce nap time, right?
Yeah. Now it is. Clearly it's not nap time because we have, MSQ to run. But that's why we're going pretty fast. So instead of nap time. No, because we're a randomizer community, we like to randomize all things. However, Zemus is just a little bit too powerful to randomize into the rest of the boss pool, and he has some funky mechanics to go along with it. So instead of randomizing Zemus into the boss pool, we randomize his true colors and his final form for every single seed. There are there's probably more than 600. I have lost track of how many different final forms are.
I just say hundreds upon hundreds at this point.
Hundreds, yeah. So the question is, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight? And it's Gargamus.
This just brings back childhood angst of Gargamel watching Smurfs. I would be very happy to take this Zemus fight on when I was a kid. But yeah, let's talk about this fight for a moment. At these levels, it is tricky. However, I really love gunning for this at lower level because even though the levels are low, we've got obscene power levels. We've got the Crystal Sword Venger, we've got the White Spear, we've got Double Masamune, and we've got Sid, who's going to operate as a very strong chemist here. Sid throws that one Cure 3 on himself to keep himself alive. That Tella likely will die to a Big Bang, the nerf Big Bang, but might not. But I think what Hart is going to want to do is pick up Tella after, if he dies here with that Sid, and then Tella's going to be the person to pick everyone up, and then the strategy is just power overwhelming and get through this fight before it could become a problem despite the level situation.
Going to be a little bit tight. Luckily, in order to help us get through this fight, not only do we have a couple of Zerkers who are just going to town, we also have Edge, who has an inordinate number of darts at this point in time. We have so much steel to chuck at his face.
Yeah, Hart going with the high-powered dart strategy, going to do a lot of damage with these darts. Now, I will say with Zerkers having... Zerkers basically, because agility, ATB stuff is weird, Zerkers kind of cheat when you have a slow anchor like Tella, that they act twice for once of Zeromus's, so 2 like double massa swings with Edge would actually be pretty much at par with, and yeah, we see that the Bach is getting queued now. It would be at par with those darts being thrown, but I think there was some extra safety there of not Bacchusing up that Edge just in case he needed that Edge to pick up a fallen party member. And we're going to pick up that Tella now. I think there was a shake, but it's probably going to be what we call a fake shake, where Zorma shakes, but then takes so much damage that he does this hit point refill script because there's like not enough space on its nest around. So yeah, we see a second shake here. This one is the real shake. We're going to get a heal out. Probably want to get a nerf, which you have to time. Just so that we don't die, because Tella's Cure 4 is unfortunately not strong enough. This is a pretty critical moment right now.
Hoping for another Cure 4, yeah, because I think we were outside of the nerf Big Bang, because you kind of have to get a spell cast on Zemus right after the shake in order to nerf it. So this is going to be rough.
Yeah, Sid had the opportunity to do it, but Hart, he opted to attack with that Sid instead, and yeah, that's unfortunately a wipe. It's a variable doable fight, but you have to navigate that very carefully. Like, Sid was your only actor at that time who could throw like a crystal or something to do that nerf, given the other Zerkers, and basically, like, you know, one misinput or one incorrect decision, you know, context that fight, and you end up losing it. So I do not blame him at all for. I think we're shopping for Cure 3s, and we're going to find it, which is going to be pretty good for Hart. I think it's very smart to take that moment and say, you know what, okay, I didn't get through it. I'm not sure I know how to do it. Let's just buy 60 Cure 3s and then be on our way.
I mean, that's
we have all the money. Yeah. I wouldn't blame Hart for doing some sirens here either. We'll see where he wants to go. I think the Cure 3s are enough. And yeah, we see him heading back. Softnum, meanwhile, Softnum, meanwhile, getting through this moon. Sorry, cutting you off there. Softnum, meanwhile, getting through this moon pretty well with that crystal sword in hand now. But I think finding some trouble because he hasn't taken on a grind. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, we're in the low 30s for the levels, which when you're set up well, when you have a crystal sword, means things are doable up here, so long as Cecil can kind of survive those swings. And that's the problem. If you're not, like, we see Cecil in the front row right now, typically by now you probably want Cecil back row glitch, at least in these Blue Moon flags. That way he can swing from safety, so to speak, and just keep on going, since you're so reliant on Cecil damage with Crystal Sword at this point.
Yep, definitely. You got that Cursed Tala, so you can put Cecil in the second slot. That would be above him in the back row, and then you could always set up the Avenger glitch. You can use a Bacchus, and that will set up your fight so well on that moon. And then, of course, taking some eggs beforehand, or with the hourglasses, taking on some gold dragons would add a lot of safety to it as well. But, you know, a good try on the moon there. I do see he's got that rat tail, so he'll be able to turn that in. Don't think he has gone underground yet, though, so, you know, that underground we know leads to the package. That'll be one of his paths to go mode. The other, the boss, we don't know where that goal best is. Meanwhile, here's Gargamus one more time.
So one of the things about the free enterprise community, we do love our memes. And of course, we asked, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? One of the other memes that have grown out of the community is, of course, you know, asking questions about the butt that we are going to kick, such as, is the butt cute? Does the butt wear a hat? Is the hat cute? Can we write a poem about the butt? Several things of that nature.
I imagine we could write a poem about Gargamel. I'd have to go back and re-experience what the Smurfs were like. Kind of barely remember that cartoon now. There are so many great sprites, though. It's kind of wild, to be honest.
It is, and every time you think
all the great work that Scala Kitty has done, and a little bit of Boardface, but the vast majority of it is Scala Kitty.
No, absolutely. It's always a treat to see kind of something new pop up, and there's, you know, those of us who have been in the community for a few years have seen a lot of the different sprites, but still something new pops up every now and then. Like, there was an engagement announcement sprite that popped up in a async race not too long ago, and I was like,
Aw.
oh, I forgot that people announced that they got engaged like through free enterprise
That's
Zemus
incredible.
sprite bosses.
Oh, I've never seen that. I love that. I'm gonna have to look that up later. But yeah, Heart back in this fight now. The Cure 3 is pretty critical to success because we're gonna need much less tight timing on getting everybody healthy. Being able to throw Cure 3s now. You know, Tell, of course, being able to throw out or cast the Cure 4s, but Cure 3 is just a much more powerful consumable than the Cure 2, making Sid a pretty functional chemist at this point. We are still going to need to get a kind of tricky nerf off, I think, at the end of this, near the end of this fight, in order to make it very safe. And we'll see how Heart is going to navigate that. And yeah, we see Edge swinging for like 3,500. He gets 2 of those swings per one of Gargamis's, so that's pretty equivalent to the darts that Edge was throwing earlier. Kind of solidifying what I was saying earlier about that instinct to throw darts. You know, it's often better to just drink wine instead.
I'm going to choose to believe it's barbecue sauce.
I mean, just straight up barbecue sauce, like nothing to go with it. Just, are we chugging barbecue sauce?
I mean, I was raised in Kansas City, so it's entirely doable. Okay.
I mean, I was that kid who ate mustard like straight out of the thing, so I'm with you there. Heart taking an unfortunate full damage Big Bang, very much in the danger zone. Sid is up and able to throw a Cure 3. Cecil's gonna possibly swing once, yep, and then get... actually, no, Cecil's got the Avenger on, so Cecil is stuck berserking. I think we're throwing all the curatives we can, and the rocks are out. I think... Oh,
it's gonna be tight. It's gonna be very tight.
Come on.
There we go. Crash, boom, bang. Clutching it out with Cecil.
GG's to Heart, the winner of tonight's race versus him and Softnum. Get your GG's out in chat for quite the butt clencher of a finish there. That was a delight to watch.
Absolutely. So we'll check to see if Heart is available for a quick chat now afterwards. Meanwhile, Softnum looks like is heading back into the underground now, having to redo these underground fights, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think what Softnum did with the moon before the underground play was kind of harkens back to what I was talking about earlier, where you had that opportunity to check for your bosses before even going underground. Just unfortunately this seed, none of the bosses ended up being on the moon, and so yeah, he's just kind of, all he really has left is to go underground here. I guess, okay, there is the giant technically still out there, but I think from Softnum's perspective, there's going to be a lot more to do underground than on the giant as far as bosses go. And we're joined by Heart now. GG's, Heart, and congrats on your win.
Thank you. Oh my god. I'm so...
You okay?
Yeah, I'm just still shaking from that one.
So what was it, the ending with the Zemus fight that you're shaking from
Yes.
The absolute overwhelming power that you got early on, and or all the bosses that were thrown at you like from the start? Like, this was an amazing scene.
It was pretty much going into the final fight with Zemus, having that wipe happen, and then I'm like, okay, I have a plan, but that wasn't what I wanted to happen, but that was, yeah, I was shaking going into the first fight. When the wipe happened, I'm like, okay, don't panic. Alright, let's just do a quick shop. If it's not there, I'll try again. If not, I'll have to do a quick grind, and then I'll go fight Z and deal with it, because I knew I was there, just needed to get that little edge over.
Yeah, and I think that was the perfect instinct. That was absolutely the right thing to do, and it paid off for you because you got through that second fight. Rocks, I'm sure, were a bit of a butt clencher moment, but
yes, I was like, come
Yeah.
on, Cecil, come on, you can do it, buddy, you can do it.
yeah, and then he did. It was so great.
Oh.
So
Well,
let's
no-
talk about this early seed, because like we said, it was lots of bosses were kind of guided your way very, very early. And we had an early darkness crystal, which
Oh yeah.
had the option to go to the moon. I never really needed to go there, but everything was just kind of laid out in front of you. Opted to
Yeah.
go to the moon, and then of course the answer was of course packages the whole time.
Which I legitly debated right before I went to the moon. Should I do a little cheeky package check? Nah, no, not today, not today. I'll go to the moon and I'll deal with the moon. Plus, I gotta grind anyway, so I'll just go up there. Oh, it was that package the entire time. I should have just did that check. I would have gone to the moon anyway just to get the grinding, but I would have not gotten the pass. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly fair, though. We were talking about this when that package showed up, knowing that darkness was there, was that I really liked the idea of, like, leaving a save on Earth and then running to the moon. If that had nothing, then you could kind of reset back. But, of course, you had to take your grind, so that left you on the moon anyways. But, yeah, I mean, I don't blame you at all for not checking that package right away. It's just,
Yeah.
This is one of those things that ends up being like, oh, yeah, huh. Neat.
Yeah, but all those bosses, I mean, like, oh, let's check Waterfall. Hi, Val at Waterfall. Okay, let's check Hubs. Hi, Odin. Okay, let's check, let's go check characters. Okay, yes, I get Cecil and Kane. I had a crystal sword thanks to that early Earth. I was hoping for a Cecil, because usually Cecil doesn't show up. You get the crystal sword. So then I go to Ordeals. Oh, hi, Fabool Gauntlet. Oh, hi, King Queen Evelyn. Okay, what is going on here?
Yeah, what was going on was Neon Gray needs to go back to FF14's MSQ like yesterday.
and then Pale Dim, Pale Dim was at Baron, and it's just like, okay. Okay. I think it was at Baron. I don't remember. But yeah, I was just like, oh, okay. And then
Yeah,
it took
Baron
forever to find
and
the book.
2, yeah.
Getting all my bosses and not having a way underground. Then I found darkness, and I'm like, I mean, if I have to go to the moon, I can, but I have no way of grinding. And I did not practice. The only reason I didn't do D-Machine grind early is I never practiced it.
Completely fair. Yeah, yeah, and this is for anyone, playing these seeds. Absolutely stick to what you know. This seed, it turned out you didn't need to do the D-Machine. Unless, I suppose, maybe one of the, like, Golbez is somewhere up on the Giant, but, I mean, that's, when you play the odds, it's unlikely. So, yeah, I think it's just very well done.
And let's talk about that top of tower tease. That was mean. That was so mean. I thought about just taking it. I'm like, no, I'm not even going to waste my time. I have 2 bosses I need to find. I'm just going to go.
I really liked the discipline of resetting out of that. It would have been pretty quick to kill the 3 little soldiers, but then, like, if they give you a Twin Harp, and then you go Twin Harp, and Twin Harp is nothing, like, I think given all the bosses you had access to, I think it was a smart play, honestly. But yeah, now you get to take a moment to breathe. You're through your week. Congrats on your win.
Thank you.
Week 1, complete. How you feeling about next week now?
Oh, I gotta do it again. I've been nervous all day because I was in ZZ4, but this is like my first true tournament, so in a style like this, so getting a early win is kind of nice. We'll see if I can keep up that momentum.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was a pleasure. I don't know. Did you have any other questions, Fantasia?
No, just once again, GG's, and that was one of those races that I think you could feel yourself the entire time, just your heart's pounding because everything is going way too fast, and the bosses are just laying themselves out in front of you. So you're like, oh crap, I got to be done soon. So just very well done keeping your head on your shoulders, because that's the hardest part I think about getting through those races is just still being able to think as you're getting through it with everything being thrown at you. So
Absolutely,
very well
and
done.
to do it,
Thank
yeah,
you.
and to do it methodically and logically, the way that you did this scene, I think it was fantastic.
Honestly, this is one of the seeds that I am so proud. I am proud how I ran it. I am so proud of this seed, to be
I
honest.
love hearing that. Awesome. Well, any last words, Hart, before we let you go?
Thank you also so much for the being part of the restream, and thank you for the commentary, and thank you for the very fun Jetty seed, Neon. I appreciate that, and thank you for pushing all the buttons, and GG's to my opponent as well.
Yep. Thanks so much, Hart. I look forward to your next race.
Thank you.
In the meantime, it does look like Softnum did go ahead and forfeit once seeing the dot done. So we'll see. Softnum is available for a quick chat here for a quick wrap up.
Ah, yep. We are joined by Softnum now. Hey, GG, Softnum.
Jeez.
So, the seed turned out to be put a lot of bosses in your face pretty early. Yeah, I guess just kind of walk us through, how you were feeling throughout this seed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that up until I got the hook, I was feeling pretty good. Could tell it was real jetty after 20 minutes. I made sure I had the window up after 40 minutes because it was really that quick.
Yeah.
And then I got walled, and then I went to the moon, which turned out to be not a bad choice. I just should have taken foot with me. And then, yeah.
Yeah, that ended up being a lot of kind of outrageous power available early in that seed. You found that Avenger in the waterfall. I will say it turned out that the Earth Crystal with the treasury had some pretty insane power in it. It had a crystal sword and I think a Masamune, maybe like a power shirt. It was pretty stacked.
Wow. Yeah.
Which I mean, I feel like the bearer of bad news there, but I do feel like I probably should point that out. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, I'll probably watch this one back. I want to see what Art did.
Yeah, I think it would be great to watch back. There's Hart played this. You and Hart were very neck and neck. You kind of deviated a little bit early about where you chose to go first, but then sort of met back up, sort of along the hook route area, and then also met back up sort of along running to the moon. But I think Hart had gotten underground at that point just because of the power that he had available. But yeah, I think watching back there'd be a lot to get from this. It was very fun to watch you. Oh, I want to ask, how did you feel getting a crystal sword from karate?
It was just like at that point I couldn't believe it. I had gone down there basically for the experience,
Yeah,
more or less. To see if my bosses were down there, things like that. But I was just like, okay. I guess we'll equip this now. Yeah, it was. The seed was just throwing everything at you, including all melee.
Yeah, no white mage. I guess I'll ask about that in a moment. But yeah, I loved that play because you know that karate is free. I mean, and it's like air quotes free, but like that there is a way to get through that fight with the party and the setup you had, and you found that way through. And I think that was really fun to watch. I really appreciated that moment in the race.
Yeah, once I got that down, and then it was on Ribbon. Oh, it's Waterhead. And that was also free, and so it was like, oh, okay. I started feeling a little bit better, got some levels, went and defeated Evil Wall. Decided I was probably done. I can trace the seed from there, I think.
Yeah, yeah, totally fair. Yeah, yeah, and I mean, the seed didn't offer you a white mage either. I can imagine. And, how did you feel about? Were you a little uncomfortable about that? Were you like, I've kind of done these kind of seeds before?
I hadn't. I've done it the other way, where it's all children, basically, But I've never really done a all melee no white before, because I usually prefer, and unskilled enough, I guess, that I usually prefer to do it. It's just better, but yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't blame you. White mages are incredible. Just the utility that they offer, and I would say on average, like from my practice, my play throughout Free Enterprise, like the number of seeds I can count where I truly didn't have a white mage available to me is very, very small compared to the breadth of the flags that I've played. So I like it. It makes a lot of sense to me. That it was, not something super comfy, because it honestly hasn't been for me either when I've had those kind of seeds.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I appreciate the all free, the no earned character flag. I like it because it's kind of neat. You set your party, and so I know, I have to loot goblin a little through things. I did consciously skip the treasure, but
yeah. Yep,
so,
and I figured you might have, because you had power available to you. It just this seed turned out, and this is why with Cecil I end up wanting to go there no matter what, unless I've got a holy sword, just only because of the chance that of those 18 boxes you could end up pulling a holy sword. Yeah, it's just unfortunate with this one. I think that was it makes sense to fade it, because you had found that Avenger. You had power already.
I had power consummate to where I should be. Yeah. Sure.
Absolutely.
So, I liked it. But yeah. No, like I was gonna say, thank you for commentating. I didn't really see who the crew was. I think Neon's stream, but thank you everybody for broadcasting the race. It's lots of fun to race. Fun to commentate too.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, thanks so much for being here. And yeah, I noticed you had, I think I had restreamed for you. You had done comms last tournament. If you ever want to come back, do commentary for us. Yeah. We're always looking for folks. So yeah, but
awesome.
Yeah, that was a pleasure. Thanks so much, Softnum.
Yep, thank you. Jeez.
And GG's once again to both of our winner Hart and our other runner Softnum. Give them a follow here on Twitch if you like what you saw. One last shout out, of course, to the rest of the Restream team, Neon Gray for doing the restream, and Zalde for doing the tracking. So shout out to them. And of course, Solaris, my co-commentator. This was a fun one, man.
Yeah, this was a, like, you blink, you missed it until a bit of stalling at the end there. This was a lot of fun to watch, to commentate. I know for Softnum, I would probably feel a little bit bummed about what happened, but, and I don't want to like harp on it too badly, but it's just, sometimes that happens. I think he had a good attitude about it at the very end. Really appreciate that he said he'd wanted to come back and watch, because I think it's important, when you do these races, you get the opportunity to be able to come back and watch kind of what happened with the seed and see what your opponent did. So, hopefully good things come from that for him. And of course to Hart for putting on, such I think a pretty well run. I was really happy to hear that he said he was, really proud of that seed. That was really cool. This was just super fun for me.
Absolutely. And no one's eliminated yet. Remember, it's a double elimination.
Not at all.
So...
Yeah, we didn't talk about that much, but yeah, double elimination. So Softnum goes to waning.
Absolutely. With that, though, want to thank everyone for hanging out with us tonight. With that said, we are going to be sending you over to the Free Enterprise Prime channel, where there is an ongoing race. It's about 40 minutes going on right now. Looks like it is between Jay Brun TR and IB Karma. It's been going on for about 40 minutes. No spoilers in the chat. We want to make sure that those folks who like to go back and watch the restreams themselves have the opportunity to do so. Otherwise, have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you at the next match, everyone.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to say, like, that was an amazing match. You should go watch it, which I'd recommend you say, but no spoilers past that. But otherwise, yeah, this was a pleasure, and see y'all later.